Here we are, you guys, back at it with an analysis of my team there and also the alternates group. And actually, another week in a row where I've actually gone down in ranks. So, pretty exciting for that. And even holding Jake Turpin and having an issue with that one. Managed to hold the two trades, which was great. But him scoring 23 was a bit of a pain in the ass. But moved down from 954 in the rank to 830. So, really happy with that and a score of 973. So, we'll go through that team now. And in our starters there, Brayley up top with 55, and as I said, I think he's a must-have, and any good player should have him at this stage, so it's kind of a wash. It doesn't really matter. Welsh is someone that does matter in the squad, as he's slightly less owned there at, 5.9%, so for him doing a job for us, and he's moved up to, 623k now, which is really cool. Made us just over 100k over the season, so really happy with that for him. 49, we take that every day of the week. A few extra points than last week. And again, you just keep holding him around that 50 average until round 13 comes along and we can move him on then and upgrade to one of those big dogs up top there. So awesome work for him. Watson, again, highly owned at 50 with 52 points there. So not too much of an issue, but I think, yeah, he's pretty close to a keeper in that mid position, which hasn't actually been that strong apart from our dual position guys. Tohu Harris was 69, so good to see him back and not having to play Stefano this week, even though he did okay. But yeah, 69 points is a welcome addition to the squad. Angus Crichton with 70, really happy with. Feeder with a lower score of 48, but again, he's very highly owned at this stage. Crichton's the one that's a little bit less owned in the mid-20s, I believe. Yeah, 24.8, whereas you got Fafita up at 38%. So what's Tohu now? 17, which is pretty cool. That's kind of why I think when the Warriors were playing there, I thought I might lose some ranks. I did have 3 players in the game, but I actually gained a lot. I think I was sitting about 1,000 or 1,100, and then was sitting at 550 before the last game. So thanks to Tohu, it sounds like there. But yeah, Crichton and Tohu, really good guys that are scoring amazing and not highly owned for some reason. Cleary and Fogg. So you take Cleary 61, not really worried about it as captain there. Double points, better than Fafita, who I had to captain in the alternates. Fogg's with 62. That's a few scores in a row now where he's really improved and got some consistency. And if we look at his scores there, God, it takes a long time on here, match stats. So yeah, a couple of 60s in a row now, and he's got 5 of them now, and that's 3 out of 4 games. So a 32 against the Manly boys when they had an absolute shocker, you can handle. But it's still, he's only scored the 1 try. I think he just does a bit of everything. He tackles, close to 20 a game, making 350 meters plus in kick meters, running for 40 to 70 is kind of his average there with the running meters, kicking goals, and then the odd try assist too. So I think he's a really cool option and getting pretty cheap if we're being real about him there at what is he now, 600k. So just made a little bit of cash this week, and he's a solid option if you need him. But I think there's other guys like Kurt Mann and stuff who are also great at that price point. Tommy Opacek, as I said in previous videos, getting closer to a keeper level now. He's just very, very, very consistent and only has a couple of tries to his name. So well done, Tommy. And Joey Manu there at the back. He should be moving back to the centres, but we take that 42 in the fullback position. So well done to him. I said Hampton's kind of the one I'm worried about this week, especially if Pap doesn't come back. I won't have any cover there. 34 was scoring very solidly, and then I think got injured and that with his pec or his shoulder, I'm not sure yet, but just started missing a couple of tackles then and didn't really improve his score for the last 15-20 minutes. So is what it is. I think he missed a tackle on Roger for one of those, so I can't really complain with that. What's Roger owned at? Yeah, 13%. So when Roger plays well, my team seems to go up the ranks really nicely. Him and Tohu is a good percentage there. He's still got Laurie at 43%. He did really well. I think you got to keep holding him. He's scoring, averaging 45, 46. What's Hampton at? 20%. So yeah, an average of 41 for Hampton too is not what I expected, but he's made some good cash for the squad after getting him at around 340, 350. And hopefully he's not injured, so we can keep him as some nice cover there. Moving to the interchange and Terps there with 23. Yeah, not what we wanted. We finally got the minutes that I was hoping for. It just didn't execute with so many points in the game, and obviously him not being involved in any of those tries. So unfortunate for him, but still with 45 this week, and I definitely made the smart option of playing Walker this week instead of having him as number 5 and having to loop and all that bullshit. But yeah, Walker in there with 88, which was great. I'm hoping the majority of people played him. Maybe they didn't, and that's why I could actually rank pretty high with a score under 1,000. I've heard a bunch of people get over 1,000 and 1,100 a couple of people. So yeah, round rank of 5,392, I suppose, is still in the top few percent there. And then played Simpkin. So I could have played Stefano and got 5 extra points, but I think Simpkin had a higher ceiling than his 32 with his a 50 and a 40 odd in his first couple of games. So that's that. Alvaro is 30, Stefano with 37, and Lanu pretty much holding price there at 370. So all those guys are doing fine, and then just got Paps there on the emergency. So there's not too much to change in this squad. And the interesting thing will be is if a really good cash cow comes up, and I could possibly trade Turpin to them and possibly upgrade a Spencer or upgrade something like that. If I wanted to use 2 trades this week, I did obviously bank 2, and I have 25 and sitting there for the rest of the season, which I'm really happy with. And out of the rest of the guys in the squad, I don't think there's anyone I'd look to upgrade at this stage, unless I went for, if Hampton is injured, I could, and he's out for a long time, I could upgrade him to like a Dewey or I don't know, even Brimson or something like that, unless he's going to be tempted to, they're going to pick him up in Origin, but unless they're going to use him as a 14, I doubt that he'd be there unless there's an injury to Ponga. And then I could either downgrade or upgrade Terps. Other than that, I think the rest of the squad needs to stay steady and keep holding as much as I can until the buy rounds. But I think Turpin is going to lose too much money now, and I can't keep him around before losing all these gains and all the the good stuff he was making. And I don't really want to play an Alvaro or a Stefano on my interchange. So if I can pick up a decent cash cow and upgrade Terps to one of the big dogs, I think that's probably the smartest option this week. And I'd be targeting a middle. I think Welsh is going to be moved on, obviously, and Watson I'd like to hold as long as possible. So another middle would be pretty cool. The other thing I could do is maybe, as I said, upgrade the wing fullback to Hampton up top, and then I've got Pap, a Dewey, a Tuivasa, and a Laurie, for example. So they're the kind of the thoughts I'm thinking about in terms of the squad at the moment. There's no real dead wood in our emergencies. I'd like to hold these guys as long as possible. I don't feel the need to swap them around, like when Walsh is going to be missing 13, all this kind of stuff. If I can hold a lot of my trades, get a 14 or 15 person squad together for the buy rounds without building, making too many crazy trades, and then just once 13's done, I can pick up all the guns that obviously going to play in round 17 and really trade heavy through that period. And if there's a few guys that are resting, I can move them on and things like that, and then score really well in 17 as well. And that's something that a lot of people got to think about is that round 17 buy as well, and not loading up everyone in that round 13 and having 17 in that first one, and then having sitting there at round 14 with 13, 14 trades left, and then you try to trade a bunch over that next period and you end up with about 3 left for the last 7 rounds. This is not good enough. So you're gonna lose out in the end. So it's something to think about with my squad there. I'm really happy with the rank. Let's see if we can bump that down next week if I make a couple of trades. So happy with that. We moved to the alternates and we picked up 967 with 3 guys on the bench in Pap, Teddy, and Mom. So really happy with that. The trade in this week was Peachy, which was good. We picked him up, moved him to the centres, obviously with all our craziness in our emergencies at the moment with Pap, Teddy, and Mom. My theory with Peachy was that this week I play him in the centres, but going forward I play him instead of Stefano in the mids once either Pap, Teddy, or whatever comes back, and I can move Rapana back to the centres. So yeah, I'd prefer to play Peach over Stefano up there. I think there needs to be some improvements in my middles. So I've obviously I'm pretty strong down the bottom there with Teddy, Mom, Pap, all these guys, Peachy. So I think upgrading up top there would be great. My hookers are fine with McCulloch and Brayley. It's just that the middles and then the halves, I think. So obviously Moses and Schuster are doing a job with Walker there, but it might be interesting to. Yeah, I suppose I could hold steady for a bit. I got Curran there on the edge, so there's a fair bit happening, and we'll roll through the team now before I blabber on too much. With McCulloch there, as I said, strong. Watson, Twil's the interesting one. He's lost a fair bit of cash now, so he's priced around that, just under 50 kind of mark there. So for him, I think he can at least score that average that over the next bunch of weeks. He plays around 13. You just hold steady with him. As much as you're not enjoying the odd 30 or 40 he's getting, there's a game there somewhere. He'll get 70. He'll do it again. Everyone was picking him up after that one, so he'll have to do it again. Stefano, I think we just hold, as I said in the previous team. Fafita as captain kind of hurt us a little bit, but he was really good for us last week, so it is what it is with those types of guys. Thankfully, Cleary didn't go and get a 90 again, so it didn't kill me too much. Crichton was 70, Moses was 60 again. Another great option if you need a half, but I said a lot of players will have Schuster's, Walker's, Cleary's, all these kind of guys, even holding Brooks and Dewey and those kind of guys still. So he's not a must-have, I don't think, but he's a really good option with 60 there. So Peachy with 56, Averillo with 49, just keeps getting the job done. 476k now. I can't believe he's almost at keeper level in the centers. He's the same price as Jack Bird, who's had a much better season. So it's crazy out there what's happening. But anyway, Rapana with 40, couple of tries. He's doing okay. He's holding steady kind of thing. Dane Laurie with 69. Brian Totwell with 65. Just a perfect game for Brian again. Brayley with 55, Simkin 32, Walker 88, and Curran 48. So I'm really happy I got Curran in. But yeah, again, someone that's should make a bunch of cash and play 80 minutes on the edge there for the Warriors, but he won't play 13. So I don't know if you bring him in now at 400k. He's getting to that point that I was talking about with Offengawi, Matt Lodge, these types of guys where at 400k, they have to continue to score really well. If they have one bad game of a 25 or 30, it really stifles their money making, and it's well, they're not a keeper. Is it worth them having in my side? Blah blah blah. So if he continues to average 50, then obviously there's not going to be any issues. But something to think about with Curran, for example. And then we got Spence with 31. So that's the team really. I suppose the question to look at is what do I do this week? And I do have 154k remaining, and it could be the week to. I guess who do you move on? That's the question. None of these guys are really pushing to be moved on. You've got Spencer, who is probably the most likely one to move on. But other than that, I'm holding Mom, Ted, Pap. Yeah, I suppose it could be a smarter option to hold some trades. And if I've got too many wing fullbacks or centers coming close to the bye rounds, I could upgrade to some of the Eels players, like a Papali'i or. Who else we talk about up there? There's a few guys that we could go through. Obviously, Appy, Gutho, he's an interesting one. He had an amazing game. Pangai Jr., all these types of guys. It's as some possible options, but I don't want to just trade for the sake of it either. Some people are trading really hard right now, and they're probably getting a really good rank. Obviously, my rank here in the alternates is 5,116 after a couple of average weeks. But yeah, let me know what you do with the alternates team and also my team myself. I hope this kind of analysis helps you guys, and as to trying working out the team makeup and what kind of positions you'd like to be thinking about improving on a week to week basis, and we'll go from there, guys. I hope you enjoyed that one. We'll see you in the next one where I analyze the people's team there. See you guys. Bye bye.